we lost it and let the last 3 or 4 minutes play out was absolutely brilliant. So I wanted to take some time to praise Brentford because I think that's only fair to do so. But when it comes to Manchester United, I'll start with the players. Forget the subs for a moment. Every single player that started the game was poor, barring Onana. Onana made some really good saves. I would also say that there were some really good tackles made by Delo. But overall, and I'm talking on the ball here, not off the ball for a moment, on the ball, everybody was poor. To a man, everybody was poor. So when everybody, and it's not the first time this season when every single player has looked poor. But the word that kept on popping into my mind throughout the course of this game was unprepared. This Manchester United team looked so unprepared. Didn't know what to do about Brentford's press. It's like they came into the match with the complete and utter wrong game plan. So therefore, when I look at everybody being poor, I have to look beyond a bad performance. Now, I thought Garnacho was particularly poor tonight. His dribbling was off, bad touches, couldn't beat a man, rightfully came off. I thought Rashford lasted a hell of a lot longer than he should have done. Another stinky, stinky night for Marcus Rashford indeed. Scott McTominay, again, thrown into a deeper role in midfield. Yes, he pushed forward, but I didn't feel like it worked, in my humble opinion today. I didn't like, again, what I saw from Scott McTominay. I thought overall, really poor from him. What if we're going to play him? He's got to play off the striker or not at all. Shouldn't have started the game, in my opinion. Casemiro should have done. They said he was fit to play. But there were some really poor performances, and they'll be called out, and rightfully so. I thought Garnacho and Rashford especially. I felt a little sorry tonight for Rasmus Højlund. We barely created a chance. He had one opportunity that was well saved. But you've got to create strikers like him. Try it 3 or 4. If he ever had the chances tonight, the Wissers and the Tonys have had, he'd have scored some goals. There's no doubt about it. But the overarching performance from this Manchester United team was nothing short of shocking. And why is that? And we've been talking about it for weeks. It is the system and the coaching behind it. We came in, we looked unprepared. We looked devoid of ideas. We looked shell-shocked at times. And it's because our system is broken. It does not work. Now, as I've already mentioned, there were some individuals that were particularly poor. But everybody was poor overall. You know, everybody had a bad night tonight because the system was broken down. And I, for one, have said this after every game in 2024. The win, lose, or draw is how I'm going to assess my feelings in that moment. And we drew, and I'm annoyed about it. Frustrated. If we would have won 1-0, I'd have been celebrating. I'd have said, I don't care. What I'm assessing now, though, is the question mark that too many Man United fans keep going on about. And that is, should we think about keeping Ten Hag? And tonight was another performance that goes into the no category. And by the way, in the past just 3 months alone, there's been 1.5 performances that have gone in the yes category. Every other game has gone into the no. And we speak about this many times, and I've been called out on recent shows about it. Why are people so obsessed about playing good-looking football? It's not about how aesthetically pleasing it is. It's about its ability to be sustainable to win games. If you perform like today, as an example, if you perform as we did against Everton, even though we won 2-0, if you perform as we did against Man City, if you perform as you did against Fulham when we lost recently, those performances are so poor, those performances are so inconsistent, you can never guarantee a win. But you know you're going to be getting, you know you're not going to win enough games to be able to compete because you can't concede over 20 shots. In today's case, over 30 shots on goal in games and expect to become successful. And that is our system. With and without the ball, we look absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And I understand we need some better players. And a lot of people are calling out Kobbie Mainoo. Of course, he's going to get stick. I told you the hate started. He didn't have a particularly great game tonight. But I can be very forgiving of an 18-year-old. I can be very, very forgiving of an 18-year-old in the broken system. You put that man into a system that is well organized, well drilled, he is going to shine. But at 18, he's going to have bad games. I'm not going to ride out on an 18-year-old. Garnacho's more experienced. He had a poor game tonight. I'm not going to crazy a young, still relatively inexperienced player playing for a manager that everybody complains about and says the broken system. I'm going to criticize the performances and say they were not good, but I'm not going to land the blame over there. I'm not going to scapegoat them as being a major, major problem. Now, the older individual, Scott McTominay, who's been here through 3 or 4 managers, Rashford, who's been awful, but for him through 3 or 4 managers, Bruno, that was poor again tonight. I'm looking at these guys and I'm saying we need to be looking at changing. Maybe not all of them this summer, but we have to look to refresh this squad with whatever the new style of play is going to be that Dan Ashworth and Omar Barada pick. We need to go out and buy some better players as well. 110%. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying it's all one thing and it's all the system. We have to do both of these things because there's some absolute horrendous players, both physically, mentally, and technically in this team. But anyone that watched that performance tonight that thinks this manager should stay on next year is absolutely deluding themselves. Everything you've seen on the pitch tonight is what goes on in training, chaotic and inconsistent. And these are reports have come out credibly about Manchester United. And knowing that we're chaotic, knowing that we're inconsistent, knowing there is no cohesion and togetherness and chemistry at training is why we perform so sporadically. Why we have that goal we scored tonight, by the way, excellent goal. But where is that play for 95% of the game? Even 80% of the game would be an improvement, but we get it in peaks and troughs. And that has to stop. So, look, as I say, from my point of view, and listen, and when it comes to these players as well, I will say this about the players more so than the manager. You get that goal, you celebrate big time, cup in your... Listen, fair play to Mason Mount, really good goal. Cup in your ears, you celebrated massively. And then we restart the game and you become hugely negative. Where was the team? Who was it that scored their goal? Oh, I don't want to get his name wrong. I don't want to be disrespectful. It was Aya. Why did he go that space? We should have just packed that box, low block, barely any room. It was ridiculous. Genuinely, it was ridiculous. AWB gets caught, which he shouldn't be at that point. And then you've got a runner coming in when we've basically just won the game a few minutes to go and no one's there. And that is what I mean with these players. Got it up here. And I know I've just spoken about we need technical improvements, but I really feel we've got to fix the noggins first, the brains first, because it's just awful. It's just awful to watch. And as I said at the top, fair play to Brentford. They were excellent tonight, barring their finishing, you would say. I know some good saves from Onana. They weren't clinical, but every other element. If Brentford performed like this week in, week out, their fans would stomach some results like this because you know you're going to be okay. And that's the difference between me and a lot of other Man United fans I come across at the minute. I want sustainable performances because more victories for a club our size with the quality of player that we can attract. If we can get sustainable performances, we're going to generate more wins. We're going to have more of a chance of winning these major trophies, which is where we want to aim to be. But tonight was just, if you could sort of shrink Manchester United down from over the past decade and say, show me what's wrong with Man United, it would be today's game. Struggle to dominate matches, especially away from home. Lack of ideas in the attack, weak in the defense, relied on the moment of individual brilliance and still bottled it. That is Manchester United in an absolute nutshell. When there was a chance, there was an outside chance of finishing in the top 5 position for Manchester United. And Staffy, I've just seen Staffy come up backstage. But Sam said to me yesterday on Straight Facts, why are Man United fans not shouting about it more? And I know I predicted a win in this game. I thought we would win. I take that L. But as I said to Sam, Man United fans thinking about the top 5 because we're too inconsistent with our performances. We needed to get at least 7 points out of our next 3 games. It's now impossible. Well, it's not impossible, actually. We could beat Chelsea and beat Liverpool and get that. But with Villa winning and Spurs winning today, us dropping points, when ironically, we were actually winning with a few minutes to go, it isn't happening. But the most important thing to remember about any Man United fan who's labouring under this illusion we might make it. I want to make it, but wanting it and getting there are two different things. We don't play well enough consistently enough to make it over the next 9 games. We are just not consistent enough. The summer can't come quick enough for us. It really, really can't. And we need some stability. But I'm just I don't even know. I'm kind of angry. I almost want to laugh as well. I'm then a little bit sad because we basically won the game and then threw it away. Equally, we're in the home straight now of the Premier League season, and we can get to this summer, change this manager, change a lot of other aspects of this football club, move out some of this dead wood, stop putting so much pressure on these youngsters, and move on from there. But for me tonight, look, I want to congratulate Brentford's performance and say commiserations to them, really, because they should have won by a hell of a lot more. And Man United tonight, we stunk. We were awful. And to walk away with a point, look, we're looking on a results-based analysis here. I mean, walking away with a point flatters us. Even though we were winning, if we're being honest, walking away with a point still flatters us. It was abysmal. There's not much more I can say about it than that. It was abysmal. I've got some super chats and staff is joining me on the show this year.